COVID-19 was found for the first time on December 31st in 2019, in Wuhan, China. The number of reported cases in that region has significantly increased since the initial outbreak in Wuhan. To control the spread of this infectious virus throughout the entire territory, the Chinese government has ordered a lockdown on the entire area to control the spread of the disease. While China has reached the highest number of cases at the end of February 2020, other countries worldwide had only just discovered it. With the spread of the COVID-19 coronavirus, the world was plunged into a health and economic crisis with far-reaching effects on shipping and international trade. To identify the impact of COVID-19 on shipping and world trade.
Shipping is the process of moving something physically from one place to another, such when products are transported from a warehouse to a customer. Following manufacture and packaging of the goods, a shipping or logistics company will manage the shipment process. By managing this vital paperwork, the shipping business eliminates any complexity. For the owner of the goods, insurance certificate. This document serves as a policy to protect the shipping firm and freight forwarder from any potential liability and to pay for any damage. Bill of lading. A bill of lading is a legal document that provides clear information about the items the shipper is. Commercial invoice. The vendor who ships the items will always provide a commercial invoice. The paper aids in a variety of priorities for export shipments. Maritime shipping using the sea to transfer commodities from one place to another is known as maritime. These kinds are further classified into three groups. Break bulk. Break bulk cargo is the term for the shipment of drums, bags, pallets, and cartons. Neo bulk, the cargo that contained prepackaged items including steel, automobiles, timber, in bundles, and paper, in rolls. Dry bulk, the shipment included a wide range of minerals such sand, grains, bauxite, coal, and iron ore. Definitions of world trade. The exchange of products and services between businesses based in various nations is referred to as international trade. World trade improved risk-taking. In a larger target market, international trade offers the potential for market variety. There is a higher risk from economic downturns, climate changes, political pressures, when a firm focuses mainly on its local market. Improved relations internationally. The economic interconnectedness of nations brought about by global trade may result in strong linkages of collaboration in other sectors. World Trade Organization, WTO. The World Trade Organization is built on the WTO Accords, which were discussed, approved, and ratified by the great majority of trading states. WTO. The goal is to make business transactions easier for service providers, importers, and exporters of commodities.
Merchant fleets can be important economic assets for nations because it contributes to its home nation's foreign exchange earnings, promotes trade, and provides employment. However, the COVID-19 outbreak has been causing a huge impact on global shipping mobility. There are several types of ships impacted by COVID-19.
First is bulk carrier. A bulk carrier is a ship designed to deliver large volumes of unpackaged bulk goods. During the COVID-19, bulk carriers have been marred with uncertainty for bulk carrier vessel providers. This is because implemented lockdowns by countries have greatly reduced the demand for bulk carriers as consumption of non-essential goods collapsed.
Next is the tanker. Tankers carry or store liquids in bulk. Although COVID-19 have caused reduction in oil demand, but the tanker demand did not decrease. This is because tankers are being used for offshore storage facilities as the sudden loss of global oil demand causes a lack of storage facilities around the world.
Container ship are also impacted by COVID-19. Container ships are the cargo ships that carry most seagoing non-bulk cargoes. Container shipping demand has increased throughout the outbreak. This is because changes in purchasing and consuming behaviors brought on by the pandemic have led to an increase in import demand for manufactured consumer goods that majority delivered by shipping containers.
Ferries and cruise ships also impacted by COVID. Ferries often transport a mixture of people and automobiles across short distances, while cruise ship refers to ship that carries passengers traveling for pleasure. The maritime tourism industry was the first and most affected traffic segment. This is because many seaports closed down to limit and slow the spread of the infection, limiting and banning cruise traffic at their terminals.
The number of ship. The majority of industries' supply chains include maritime shipping, which makes it the backbone of world trade. Around 80% of items are reportedly transported by ship. The global merchant fleet's capacity is growing along with maritime trade.
This infographic visualizes data regarding growth of increase of number of owned ships. Comparing data from the World Merchant Group from 2016 until 2021. So for the latest update in 2021, the number of ships was 53,973.
The value of the volume of world trade by sea. Key indicators of trade and port cargo handling can be used to gauge the demand for maritime transport services and infrastructure. The pandemic has affected supply, demand, and logistics in 2020 by lowering production and consuming activity. National maritime commerce growth was only 0.5% in 2019 and fell by 3.8% in 2020. The total volume fell by 422 million tons to 10.65 billion tons.
The table illustrated the decline in exports and increase in imports that occurred in the region of developed countries between 2019 and 2020. A significant decrease from the more dismal forecasts made at the height of the epidemic. There was a fall in trading volumes in the second quarter of 2020, but they recovered in the third quarter as a result of the relaxing of restrictions and closures, the introduction of new vaccines. Along with vaccine rollouts in significant developed nations, the volume quickly returned and demonstrated East Asian trade's resiliency as well as the rise in consumer demand brought on by American fiscal investment.
The impacts of COVID-19 on shipping.
Lack of containers. Quarantine periods currently in effect have led to the closure of ports, and several restrictions have been put in place to protect the well-being of employees.
Ban on entry into ports. In the spring of 2020, many nations fell into lockdown, severely restricting economic activity. This resulted in a significant decrease in port personnel and a decrease in the rate at which cargo was dealt with.
Decreasing demand for shipping. Due to the added difficulty of quarantine periods, there has been a continuing decrease in the demand for these kinds of shipments.
The cruise industry got suspended. As the virus spread over the world, the plight of crew members and guests on cruise ships and the plight of the cruise industry as a whole came into sharp focus.
Now we know the impacts of COVID on shipping, but how does it affect world trade? Shipping can influence trade flows, the goods sold of the country and global economy by its price shag. When shipping industry is hit by COVID, world trade suffers because 90% of goods are transported by sea. During the outbreak of COVID, world trade volume in the shipping industry declined because many countries imposed border closures. The ban on entry into ports made countries unable to carry out import and export activity. For example, China's dynamic zero-COVID strategy caused changes to logistics patterns and generated higher transportation and holding costs in the supply chain. Next, countries have restricted exports of essential goods, such as medical equipment, agriculture and food products. Besides, COVID-19 led to shortage of raw material. This will slow down economy growth of country as the trade cannot be dealt with. The shortage of goods caused inflation, where the price of the goods increase. After economy reopened, shipping industry cannot handle the surge of demand, resulting in supply chain interruptions like port congestion and shipment delays. This leading to exponential increases in shipping costs. For example, lack of containers results to container shipping costs rise. This will ultimately lead to higher import and consumer prices.
Shipping was one of the first industries to adopt worldwide safety standards because of its international character. There is some guidance provided by international agencies to regulate shipping internationally during the COVID-19 outbreak, which are Guidance for Ship Operators for the Protection of the Health of Seafarers from ICS, an Implementation Guide for the Management of COVID-19 on Board Cargo Ships and Fishing Vessels from WHO, and Outbreak Management Plan, COVID-19 from IMO. When going on board, ongoing monitoring or screening procedures must be conducted to identify potential cases if someone exhibits COVID-19 symptoms. Using personal protective equipment, PPE, on board should halt the transmission of COVID-19 infections across the ships. Seafarers need to complete a period of shipboard self-distancing, SSD, following embarkation to track their health and handle the possibility of being infected but show no symptoms during embarking. Ventilation, cleaning, and disinfection are performed to prevent positive cases from spreading COVID-19 infections to other healthy people. Seafarers and passengers must be familiar with the ship's COVID-19 contingency management strategy to have better prevention against COVID-19 infections. During embarkation, anyone that exhibits any COVID-19 symptoms should not embark as scheduled and instead seek additional medical treatment. The WHO recommends pre-embarking screening to detect any possible COVID-19 cases. Besides, other initiatives, such as temperature scanning and testing using polymerase chain reaction (PCR) tests, can also be done. Meanwhile, the disembarkation of seafarers and passengers must be carefully handled to prevent the spreading of COVID-19. Disembarkation protocols should involve social distancing, checking for health before disembarking, checklists for screening, temperature scanning and testing using polymerase chain reaction (PCR) tests. When it comes to crew changes, they have been restricted during the pandemic. Crew changes are important to safeguard seafarers' health, safety, and welfare and to minimize exhaustion. Long-term seafarers are more susceptible to adverse health consequences, including physical and mental diseases. According to MLC 2006, a seafarer should serve a ship for a maximum continuous term of 11 months without a break. WHO, IMO, and ILO jointly warned port states that they must ensure that seafarers requiring medical treatment have access to medical facilities ashore. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, seafarers could stay long aboard, leading to increased stress, depression, social isolation, and other detrimental effects on one's mental health and psychosocial well-being. The ships must provide mental health and psychological counseling via telephone hotlines or video resources. Self-help materials must be accessible and available on the ship.
How about marine insurance? What is the effect of COVID-19 on marine insurance? The first impact is decrease in demand for marine insurance, due to supply chain disruptions worldwide, causing these situations that happened, sales and shipping contract cancellations, delayed deliveries, port congestion, warehouse overflows, ports temporarily close. Moving on is protection and indemnity. P&I Club, insurance coverage is not affected. Section 4 of the Marine Insurance Act provides for ill pay, medical expenses, and repatriation. The insured will be protected if they purchase crew and passenger sickness coverage. Third is hull and machinery insurance coverage. Maritime insurance policy typically only covers physical damage. The current COVID-19 scenario requires a redesign of the policy to include non-physical loss. To properly assert an insurance claim, the owner or insured must demonstrate that the loss was caused by COVID-19. Lastly is COVID-19 exclusion clauses. Lloyd's Market Association, LMA, has created 6 clauses directly or indirectly towards COVID-19, which are LMA 5391, LMA 5393, LMA 5394, LMA 5395, LMA 5396, and LMA 5397.
Shipping and worldwide trade will be impacted by the COVID-19 epidemic for a long period. Even though COVID-19 incidences are decreasing, countries globally are still in concern. To conclude, preventive planning for shipping industry and world trade disruptions can protect the health, economy, and marine industry in the future.